point concerning this subject. Actually, there is a lot of things we can export to Israel. As example, the automotive industry. Egypt has potential in the industries which has a very high labor intensive. The high labor intensive in our industry in buses and trailers. Israel is almost importing 100%. They are not producing buses and trailers in Israel. And nowadays Egypt we have buses in the middle of London, it's produced in Egypt. So that means there is a hell of opportunities. Till now I don't know why don't we work together. Egypt now is trying to approach the e-mobility, the electrical technology, which is the latest. So there is a huge opportunity if Egypt and Israel can join together. I may add just a point which I talked during our last meeting in this famous last month, to add Canada to the protocol. This is also a part of good opportunities to Egypt. And as far as I know, the protocol allows Canada and Mexico has to be added, but we need Canada. And as far as I know, protocol allow it as long as the two countries, Egypt and Israel, is going to accept. So automatically United States is going to implement it, Canada is a big market, but it's almost closed for us, direct shipments to Canada. The last point, which also you just discussed and I confirm again, it's not just a matter of importing and exporting. It's a matter of how Israel can support Egypt of developing our industry. We have to admit that we have two problems in Egypt. Figures-wise, our exports figures as too low. Second, the technology, the added value. In Israel, as example, the future of Egypt, not based on the basic items. If we will continue as 80% of our industry depending on basic items, I'm sorry to say this industry will die in Egypt. Egypt has to go in a completely different area. Items out of long stable cotton, which also, something we can develop together. The active wear, which is the very high added value, which Israel is leading the world in this area. And this is a big opportunity, to exchange informations. Garments or home textile out of recycled materials. This also the future opportunities, The last point, it's concerning what we can add to the QIZ. The textile industry, as example, QIZ is missing the home textile because of two aspects. First of all, the customs duty is that low. I think it's 9 or 10, only 10%. But also, it can work if the percentage of the QIZ is going to be reduced. So you will benefit by adding the home textile. Home textile is the second sector after the garments for the volume of exports, but majority of it goes to Europe. So I hope that we have to work in a project. This project has to include figures and dates. What can be done from both sides. But if we would continue, I do remember, in December in Semiramis Intercontinental, our first presentation when we signed the protocol, we were also talking a very nice, beautiful speeches. But at the end of the day, when I see the figures today, I'm sorry to say we did nothing. So I hope not to continue just making nice conferences and nice meals, and promises and discussions and go out of it with no results.
Thank you, Magdi Bey. Please, I'll stay with you. Mohammed Bey, you remember we held a conference pre-corona called Doing Business with NAFTA. And we did have the American American embassy present. You were there. Dr. Ashraf Rabia was there, and we did address very much what Magdi Bey Tolba was talking about, is how could we have access or gain access through the QIZ to the Canadian and the Mexican market. Then the Trump administration came in, and this whole NAFTA thing started to be re-revised, we can say that. But again, it's still an option, and if the Israeli and the Egyptian side agree on it, I'm sure the Americans will give us the ability to do that. But Magdi Bey Tolba, can I ask you a question, since you were part of the negotiating team in the reduction of the original 11.7% conditionality, I believe that was it, and then in 2000 and a bit, it reduced to, I think, 10.7, where we are right now. My question, and maybe that should be asked to an American and maybe to the Israelis, but in your opinion, as somebody that works in this, what would be the real economic impact on the Israeli suppliers if this conditionality percentage was reduced to the 8% that you're talking about? I mean, what would they have to lose versus what all of the QIZ would gain with that? Because it's always been no, we're not going to reduce it, no, there's a resistance there. But what if it does happen? I mean, really, what's the worst that can happen?
Actually, that was, yes, during beginning of 2011. I believe at that time I was responsible for this file, and at that time Ambassador Ishaq Lebanon, he was the ambassador of Israel in Egypt. Had plenty of meetings with him, and as far as I was informed, that there was a green light from the top management of the Israeli government to bring it down to 8%. For a reason or another, I don't know what's happened at that time, but definitely it will have a big impact. As I said, this will mean a lot of people will grow with their capacities. New investment will come. So definitely, if we go down with the percentage, I see it for both sides positive. Adding to this, it will encourage Egyptians, to go and to have serious partnership with the Israelis over there. I don't mind. I think also 10 years ago, I think it was the only trial. I was a board member in a company whom we bought 10% of a zipper company in Israel. It didn't work quite well, but it was a good, and I believe I was always telling during the time I was heading the industry, going to the Minister of Trade and Industry at the time, I told him, the best we do is we go there and we buy shares in a companies and we exchange benefits. Why we're afraid, it's something can be win-win situation. So I believe as soon as we can succeed, to bring the percentage down, definitely results will come immediately positively.
Thank you.